Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. But why was Reagan so firmly convinced of the existence of extraterrestrial life? In the 1980s, President Reagan proposed the Strategic Defense Initiative, SDI, also known as the Star Wars program, as publicly documented. The core concept of the program was to build a missile defense system to protect the United States from intercontinental ballistic missiles and other nuclear weapon threats from hostile nations. Mainstream media defined the program as a shield against Soviet missiles. However, many UFO researchers believe that the true purpose of the program was to counter hostile extraterrestrial forces. According to Corey Goode's disclosures, the Solar Warden program can be traced back to the early 1980s, and a significant portion of its funding came from the Strategic Defense Initiative approved by President Reagan. This suggests that SDI may have been a public-facing facade, while its actual goal was to raise funds for the Solar Warden program. As early as the early 1950s, like-minded high-ranking individuals from different countries formed an organization called the Earth Alliance. The Earth Alliance's purpose was to protect the Earth and our solar system, countering hostile extraterrestrial forces and conspiratorial groups. We will cover the Earth Alliance in detail in another video as part of the Anglo-Saxon program. Corey Goode mentioned that since the Reagan era, all military-industrial complexes on Earth have formed the interplanetary corporate conglomerate, aggressively developing technology. Decades ago, our technology had already reached a level where we could prevent aliens from entering Earth and abducting humans. In fact, some extraterrestrial races have come to our solar system to purchase technology from us. Coincidentally, on March 30, 1981, when President Reagan was preparing for the Star Wars program, he survived an assassination attempt. Fortunately, the bullet entered his lung and missed his heart by 2.5 centimeters. After surgery, Reagan quickly recovered. His survival also broke the Tecumseh's curse, which stated that every 20 years, a president would die during their term, a curse that had been in effect since 1840. The assailant, John Hinckley, who attempted to assassinate the president, was immediately subdued. Secret Service agents pinned him down tightly, ensuring that he couldn't commit suicide or be silenced by other gunmen. However, John Hinckley was eventually found not guilty due to his mental illness. Interestingly, the assassin of President Kennedy, who was also considered mentally unstable, faced a similar fate. John Hinckley claimed that he had been pursuing Hollywood actress Jodie Foster and orchestrated the presidential assassination attempt to gain her attention. In other countries, the fate of an assassin targeting a head of state is predictable, but in the United States, the president is essentially the CEO of a large corporation. CEOs who don't comply are often taken out by the chairman, and as we all understand, it's easy to fabricate a reason. Therefore, many people believe that John Hinckley was just a pawn. The true reason for the attempted assassination of Reagan was that the conspiratorial group wanted to prevent the initiation of the Solar Warden program, which hadn't yet been revealed. In 2016, as one of the founding elders of the Solar Warden program, esteemed aerospace designer William Tompkins revealed astonishing information in an interview for the Camelot Disclosure Project. William Tompkins was born in Los Angeles, United States in 1923. Growing up in Hollywood, he developed a strong interest in naval ship models from an early age. Whenever his father had free time, he would take him to Long Beach Harbor, where the Navy allowed ordinary citizens to board the ships for tours on weekends. Excitedly, William Tompkins would run around the naval vessels, using the shadows of objects to calculate the shapes and sizes of various components on the ships. As soon as he returned home, William Tompkins couldn't wait to sketch what he had seen in perspective drawings and then create models based on those sketches. He made more than 40 models in total. Soon, his work caught the attention of a local newspaper. After his models were featured in the newspaper, a Broadway store on Hollywood Boulevard contacted Tompkins' father, expressing their interest in displaying his naval ship models in their storefront window. After obtaining permission, they allocated a section in the store where they set up a display stand and a table for live demonstrations. So, every day after school, William Tompkins would go to the store. One day, several vacationing Navy officers happened to see Tompkins' models in the store window. They couldn't believe their eyes because the models were incredibly lifelike, with every detail accurately depicted, including some classified aspects of the military. The Navy officers immediately informed their superiors. Shortly after, the Navy took Tompkins' father away. After 2.5 days of interrogation, the Navy confirmed that their family was not involved in espionage. Then, several Navy personnel arrived at their small apartment and confiscated all the drawings that William Tompkins had made. There were so many that they filled half a room. After studying all these drawings, the Navy finally confirmed that William was a child with special talents. He was subsequently arranged to attend a special school for 2 years to further his studies. In 1941, William Tompkins was assigned to work at the Douglas Aircraft Company by the Navy while awaiting clearance for security classification. In 1942, he took an oath and entered the Navy's recruit training camp, obtaining a top-secret Q-level security clearance. During his time at the Douglas Aircraft Company, Tompkins was involved in a project to retrofit an extraterrestrial communication system to make it operational and ready for mass production. In 1950, William Tompkins joined the Douglas Aircraft Company as a draftsman. Douglas Aircraft Company was a contractor for NASA. Due to his Navy background, Tompkins was quickly given significant responsibilities and assigned to a classified department, which he referred to as the think tank. It was said that this department was responsible for all matters related to the production and development of extraterrestrial spacecraft. During his tenure, Tompkins designed 1618 different classes of space battle cruisers, with the largest one reaching a length of 6 kilometers. In an interview, William Tompkins disclosed some of his design sketches. These battlecruisers were reportedly constructed in an underground base in Utah in the late 1970s and later incorporated into the Solar Warden program. This means that William Tompkins was one of the designers of the Solar Warden fleet. However, before his design sketches were put into production, Tompkins left the Douglas Aircraft Company in the mid-1960s and joined TRW. TRW is one of the top aerospace companies in the United States, and it was responsible for building NASA's first successful spacecraft, Pioneer 1. During his time at TRW, William Tompkins was involved in designing a series of critical components used in the Apollo spacecraft. He revealed that the true Apollo program consisted of 4 stages, with the moon landing being just the first step. In the second stage, they planned to send 10,000 people to the moon. The third stage involved establishing bases on Mars or other planets in the solar system, and in the fourth stage, they aimed to expand the bases to 12 neighboring star systems. However, it is well known that after the final moon landing of Apollo 17 in 1972, the U.S. government terminated the Apollo program, officially citing budget constraints. Later, U.S. astronaut Donald Pettit even revealed that the U.S. no longer had the technology to return to the moon because, after 1972, the government believed that moon missions were no longer meaningful and destroyed all the Apollo program data. Such statements are difficult to accept. But according to William Tompkins, behind the Apollo program, there are many unknown secrets. In 1969, during the landing of Apollo 11 with astronauts Armstrong and others, Tompkins, as a member of the TRW team, was present at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. He claimed that many of the live broadcasts seen by internal staff were not made public to the general public. In his autobiography, Selected by Extraterrestrials, William Tompkins describes the encounter of astronauts Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on the Moon. After the Apollo 11 lunar module landed near a crater in the Moon's vicinity, Armstrong was stunned by what he saw after taking the first step by a human on the Moon. He immediately contacted the Mission Control Center and said, "There are other spaceships here, and they are enormous in size." Armstrong continued, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. They are lined up on the edge of the crater on the far side of the Moon, watching us." Armstrong also recorded footage of the surroundings of the crater with a camera, but the recording was only made available to a very limited number of highly classified personnel. Based on what he witnessed, William Tompkins sketched a depiction, and according to him, the real reason NASA terminated the Apollo program was that extraterrestrial forces issued an ultimatum to humanity on the Moon. The construction of the planned interstellar base became out of the question. However, they also indicated that they were aware of any unfinished tasks we might have, which allowed us to undertake a few more moon explorations, but that was it. William Tompkins' account aligns with the revelations made by former U.S. Supreme Headquarters Allied Powers Europe, SHAPE military chairman Robert Dean. During the global live broadcast of the Apollo 11 moon landing, a few minutes of signal loss caused significant controversy. It is said that Armstrong redirected the signal to a private medical channel. Some amateur radio enthusiasts intercepted a communication recording during that time. In the communication recording, Armstrong stated that he saw enormous white objects near a distant crater on the lunar surface. Many people couldn't understand why Armstrong, who returned like a national hero after completing the moon mission, appeared unusually disheartened in later press conferences. But when we consider all the information disclosed by various whistleblowers, everything seems to make sense. According to William Tompkins, after the termination of the Apollo program, it took the U.S. government nearly 10 years to complete the construction of the first batch of anti-gravity interstellar fleets. These fleets were deployed in actual combat during President Reagan's tenure in the 1980s as part of the Solar Warden program, marking the first recorded activities of the U.S. Navy in outer space. William Tompkins' disclosures also include other intriguing details. For instance, he mentioned that genuine classified documents wouldn't have a top secret stamp because he claimed such documents were meant for individuals with high-level security clearances, and adding a stamp would only attract unnecessary attention. Similarly, renowned American aircraft designer Kelly Johnson, a key figure at Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works, has made similar remarks. The Skunk Works division is famous for its involvement in secretive development projects and is revered as almost godlike in the military aviation field. Johnson stated that their internal policy was never to include the highest-level classified markings on any document. William Tompkins further mentioned that human civilization has been influenced by extraterrestrial forces such as the Draconians and Reptilians for over 6,000 years. Much of what we have learned in schools, including history, astronomy, mathematics, physics, and other subjects, contains erroneous information deliberately propagated by hostile extraterrestrial forces. Their goal is to control our thinking and shape the world according to their desires. If you are interested, I will gradually compile more information about Tompkins' disclosures in upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next time ideographic period.